A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David. Has it been dry all day? I think it might have been. We had a lot of rain just before we got out of bed this morning, and ever since then we've had wind. It's been so damn windy the rain wouldn't be able to stop and get on the ground anyway. But at the moment it is calm to about 16 to 20 from the west. 20 degrees Celsius, 90% cloud cover, only 59% relative humidity, so all you folk coming from Fiji will really enjoy that, despite the lower temperature. 1003.7 and steady. And well, some boats made good use of the strong wind from New Zealand. When we checked on Moonfish earlier on today, they were doing, according to the AIS, 12.5. Yes, they had 30 knots of northwest wind, and boy, they I bet they had two rooster tails at the back of that boat. So they've made it in, hopefully, before the customs went away for the night. So Moonfish are in, and we'll see there's quite a variety of conditions with the other boats, depending on where they are between here and Fiji. So we'll start with Seeker Gulf Harbour Radio. I suspect Seeker is a bit too close for us. I'm just going to see where he is, about 33, I imagine. So I'll tell you where he is, because he certainly is going to be probably too close, and I'm trying to switch the AIS and get down to Seeker. Seeker is at 3335, 17414, with pretty strong west-southwest winds, about 20 knots, 25 knots, and he's going pretty well. Let's see what the last time the AIS turned in. It's 6.7 on a course of 184, so he's doing very well, and won't hear us probably because it's skipping over the top of us. So we'll go on to Colima Gulf Harbour. Goodness, not hearing anybody. Colima Gulf Harbour Radio. Well, we're not doing too well tonight, are we? And I know Tim and Nancy on Laris generally don't call in. They are at 2209 and 17635. East with 6.2 on a course of 185. They have got very light northwest winds, probably not much more than about 5 knots. All right, let's go to further up and let's look at Zumax Gulf Harbour.
Gulf Harbour Radio, this is Zumax. I have again called coffee, but I can, if you can copy me, I can give you a position over.
Roger, Anna. Very good copy. I suspect your engine is on. Go ahead.
Okay, our position is 20 degrees 46 south, 17702 east. We are motoring on a course of 180 true, on a speed of 6.5 knots. The wind is 1-2 knots, there is no wind at all, and the sea is about 1 meter. The cloud cover is 10%. So we've been sailing till 1 p.m. tonight. Not 1 p.m. today. We had good wind till then, and then the wind dropped, and so we're now motoring. Okay.
Roger, all copied, and this is Zumax that left Fiji, and they have got the position is 2046 south, 17702 east, 180 true on a course, 180 true course, motoring at 6.5 knots with only 12 knots from the southwest, so they're just making some headway south. Fairly good seas and only 10% cloud cover. So all copied, Anna, all copied. And I'll pass the microphone because this will cover you and Rewa. So Rewa is pretty close to you. Here's David.
Well, probably light air again tomorrow. Almost variable winds. Could be almost in any direction, in the neighborhood of 5 knots or so. There is a trough brewing. As I hope you all know, we've been talking about the trough and the upper level lows that are going to plague this trip. So by Saturday, though, once you get down to about 23, if it is Saturday, about 23 south, and if you draw a line between Fiji and North Cape, that's about the center, the axis, if you will, of that trough. It runs from Vanuatu down to Raoul about that time, and it's going to be fairly wet, fairly active, and it's all because of, well, both the jet stream and the upper level low or trough that's is around now and will be around then, and will be around for a few days after that as well. Over.
I don't think they're really listening.
Yeah, probably hard for Zoomax to hear us with the engine on, but hopefully Rewa might be able to pass that on when you all talk later. So I'll clear with Zoomax, and I'm just looking at the clutch of boats there. We've got Zoomax leading at the moment from Palazino, and then comes Rewa, Gulf Harbour.
Gulf Harbour, this is Rewa. 4 copy on your part. How do you read me?
A very good copy. Go ahead, David. Go ahead. Over.
Roger that. I am still just behind Zoomax. And my position is 2039 south, 2039 south, 17702 east. Speed is a little over 5 knots, heading 170 magnetic. Wind is 5 knots. Sea is calm, 10% cloud cover. All is well. We are motoring and looking for some wind. Obviously not for a day or so.
I presume you did hear David a minute ago. 2039 south, 17702, and you have got a boat between you and Zoomax. 5 knots motoring, 170 magnetic course, 5 knots of southwest wind, and calm seas, 10% cloud cover. All well on board. Why wouldn't it be with such tranquil conditions? Anything extra from David?
Just the
No,
trough on Saturday.
just the trough on Saturday. So make the most of the good weather, David. Over.
Very poor copy. Rewa standing by.
Roger, Roger. Okay, let's go a bit further south to Pico, Gulf Harbour.
Good evening, this is Pico. I have a really good copy on you.
Well, you're the only one, Andreas, so that is good. But you might not have the engine on, and you are getting some good westing. And so I think you've done this passage before, have you? Over?
No, we haven't ever did this passage before, but yeah, really wind. I would say we sail still in one direction, so we are not drifting, but it's nearby. We have maybe 3 to 6 knots of wind, sometimes 6, mostly 3, and sailing between 1 and 1.5 knots at the moment. So, and Pico is at position 21 degrees, 21 minutes south, 176 degrees, 17 minutes east.
Okay, I've got Pico out with a wonderful radio signal. 2121 south, 17617 east. And I think you're doing about 1.5 knots, I think you said. Just sort of Moving, what has the wind been doing all day? Just light all day, has it been, Andreas? Over?
Yeah, we had one time for maybe 10 minutes 10 knots, but mostly around 6 knots, and let's say between 4 and 6 knots. So we made with this around 50 miles when we saw it.
Well, it could be worse, couldn't it? And it sounds pretty pleasant out there. I'll just see if David's got anything else to add. Boy, it's lovely having a boat, a steel boat, I guess, with a wonderful signal. Here's David.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you probably heard me talking about the expected trough. Expected, and it will happen. And it's going to be running from Vanuatu down towards Raoul, basically northwest to southeast. The axis of it on Saturday about lunchtime will be about 23, roughly 23 south. And yeah, if you just draw that line and drop down to about 23, that's the axis. On the other side of it, on the New Zealand side of it, once you get through that, the winds are going to be, well, it depends on what the longitude is, but probably south to southeast winds, fairly light, unfortunately, in fact very light, after you get through that. My guess is going to be about 5 to 8 knots like that, and the reason for that is we've got a very small high that is developed on the western side of this upper level trough. So it's causing a small high to form, basically just south of New Caledonia. And you're fairly close to the center of this high, and that's the reason for the lack of wind. The isobars are so slack, they're so far apart that there's no real pressure gradient to provide any wind. So that's going to be in the Saturday time frame. On Sunday, it's still going to be light air, but the wind, well, if you get down to, say, we'll call it about 25 or 26 south, the wind changes altogether. You'll be on the other side of that little high, and the wind is going to be northwest or west-northwest, and it will start to pick up a little bit, maybe about 10 knots. And so that's on Sunday. So, and apart from that, if you were in New Zealand on Sunday, I'm afraid you would be getting wet because we have a depression that's going to be sitting, the center of it almost over the North Island, maybe a little bit to the west of it. And we're going to have cyclonic winds, and of course a frontal band is going to run the usual northwest down to southeast, and you'll be bumping into that depending upon how fast you go and where you are on Sunday. Looking at Monday, it moves off, which is good, and on Monday the winds between, we'll call it between 30 south and New Zealand look like southwest winds, but again, light, very light air, 8 knots, that kind of a thing. So, yeah, very, very light air trip with troughs thrown in for a little bit of fun. Over.
This was a very long forecast. Yeah, looking forward. With 8 knots we could work much better than with 4 knots we have at the moment. No, thank you.
Yeah, that was an awful lot to absorb at once, and we will be on every night anyway. He just thought you'd like a little bit of a refreshed update, and hopefully, yes, there'll be a bit more wind, but as long as it stays not too bad, then I'm sure you won't complain. I quite like passages anyway, and you guys clearly don't mind passages, having come such a long way. Okay, we'll clear with Andreas and on Pico, and hello to you both, of course. And let's see if we can find Colima, Gulf Harbour. Nothing heard, and for those wanting to know where Rubicon is, a few minutes ago, 2001-17649, 5.5 knots on a course of 191 light easterlies. They had, well, southeast, it went northeast. I got an email with their noon position. about 8 to 15 most of the day, so not too bad a progress there. And I forgot to mention a happy Thanksgiving. Elizabeth reminded me that it is Thanksgiving to all of our US listeners. Poor old David forgot totally about it, as did I, so he got fish for lunch. But then never mind, he's in the South Pacific, so it's probably appropriate to have fish rather than turkey for our celebration of Thanksgiving. Okay, is there anybody else wanting to make contact? This is Gulf Harbour Radio.
Laris.
Oh, there is Laris, and I just called your position out before, Tim, but you can update it now. Over.
Yes, good evening. You've got slightly better copy than the last 2 nights, just about make you out tonight. We're at 22.12 south, 176.35 east. We will have been motorboating most of the day at about 5.8 knots with a nice favourable current. We're going straight down the run line to Harbour at the moment, and we hope that we might pick up some wind sometime tomorrow morning. Might have the same as the other boat, slightly variable and absolutely nothing happening.
Well, good copy from Laris tonight, 2212 south, 17635 east. Motor sailing all day on about 5.8 and with a good positive current, so that's helpful. Down the rum line, but do be aware of the need for a bit of westing when you are getting a bit further south, so keep that in mind. I'll just see if David's got anything to add. You've probably heard most of it, or maybe not.
Well, moving you a little bit toward New Zealand, looking at tomorrow about lunchtime, the wind does change, and you'll be looking, I think, at southeast winds, only about 7-8 knots, but it'll give you a chance to put a little bit of westing in, rather, if that's what you choose, and your apparent wind then will be a little bit higher, so it might be a very pleasant sail if you choose to do that. Over.
Yes, thank you, David. Our plan is to start making some westing when that seems to be possibly tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed. Thank you very much, Lawrence.
Okay, cheers to you both, and Nancy. Well, this is Gulf Harbour Radio. I think that's about it on my list anyway, unless anybody else wants to join us. I don't know whether Icy Red has left Vela or not, because their AIS is either turned off or on the blink. So Icy Red, Gulf Harbour. Nothing heard. Final call for anybody. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Yes, I was wondering if Pico is still on the line, or Laris, if they could stay on frequency after you're clear.
Roger that. Pico and Laris and Pico, stay on the line for Rewa as soon as I have finished, which is in about 5 seconds time. Thanks, David. And don't forget, you have all got the trivia net as well. I think David will probably stay on for that. Okay, cheers everybody. We will be back again tomorrow night. I wish I could report some decent weather from New Zealand, but boy, it is fairly turbulent, and everybody is having a bit of a grump about it. Cheers all. The frequency's all yours, Rewa.
Oh, right. That was spiffy.
Pico, good evening.